what your favorite color reveals about you and what message you're sending to the world in this very moment by wearing these colors, and how you can easily improve or worsen your life through the colors in your clothes and interior? That's because color is more than just decoration, it's information. In fact, it's one of the fastest forms of communication which we have. Your brain reacts to color before it even understands words, before logic kicks in, and before even realizing you're forming an opinion. And here's the shocking part. You cannot not communicate with color. Even when you think you're being neutral by wearing black, gray, beige, even when you say, I don't care about colors, you are still sending and reacting to the color messages around you. So today you learn how to make that message intentional and advantageous to you. If we haven't met yet, hi, my name is Veronica. I'm a professional color analyst and color expert. For the past 6 years, I've worked with individuals from over 45 different countries, but also with teams, companies, and HR departments, because color is not only personal, it influences confidence, behavior, financial successes, romantic and business relationships, productivity, as well as relaxation. Now, very quickly, let's separate two things. Color analysis answers the question, which colors harmonize with your appearance? Which colors make you look effortlessly fresh and radiant? And which colors do the opposite? While color psychology answers a different question. What energy do you project and absorb through color? What do people subconsciously read from you before you say a single word? And this is exactly what we'll be focusing on today. The energy that every single color carries. And that energy can work for you or against you. The key is managing its power right. And there are two common mistakes that people make. Either they have a color deficit or they overdose on a color. A color deficit means you try to avoid certain colors. You dislike it, you never wear it, you don't want it around you. And when you avoid a color entirely, you also block its positive energy. The second mistake is overconsumption. One color dominates your wardrobe, your home, your visual world, and when that happens, there's simply no space left for other energies. A very common example of this happening is black. If almost everything you own is black, black becomes your default psychological state. Black pulls energy inward. It creates distance, it protects, and sometimes that's necessary. But when it's constant, it can create emotional isolation, fatigue, and a feeling of being cut off. You're not wrong for wearing black, the problem is the imbalance. So you see, colors are very much like vitamins. Too little, you feel weak, too much, and it becomes toxic. Watch until the end and you'll know exactly what a person's favorite color reveals about them and how you can choose the right life partner, friends, and even make better career choices with the power of color. Starting off, red. What first comes to mind when you think of it? What emotions does it evoke? Red is the strongest color we have. It's the color of blood, life, danger, sexuality, and power. Your body reacts to red before your mind even interprets it. That's why stop signs are red, emergency buttons are red, warning labels are red. Scientifically, red has the longest wavelength, which means it's physically the easiest color for the eye to see. You'll notice it first. And in experiments, when red and green lights were shown simultaneously, participants couldn't even perceive the green. Red completely dominated their vision. This is why wearing red makes you immediately super noticeable. If someone walks into a room dressed head to toe in red, you can't ignore them. You might admire them, feel intimidated by them, or feel challenged by them, but you will definitely notice them. And this is exactly why red should be used carefully. For example, wearing red to a wedding as a guest is not a good idea unless specified, because a wedding has a very clear social hierarchy. The bride and the groom are the main figures, while red is a power color which pulls attention away. So wearing red at a wedding subconsciously competes with the bride, and in most cultures, it's considered inappropriate. Red is also strongly associated with blood, which instinctively signals danger to us. That's why in movies, when a character looks down and sees red on their hands, there's that immediate shocked expression, even before they know what happened, because red triggers alert and urgency, which is exactly why it can feel inappropriate in certain situations. Not because it's bad, but because it activates a level of tension that doesn't belong in every situation. You wouldn't want a nurse in a full red outfit, would you? Or a school teacher, psychologist, a politician. Red personalities are decisive, energetic, competitive, and action-oriented. They move fast and they don't like waiting. People whose favorite color is red are natural leaders, the one who people follow. That's why two red people in a relationship can result in conflict as they both fight for dominance. That is where the shadow of red appears. It is aggressive and impatient. Red actually increases heart rate and blood pressure. It activates the nervous system even when it's not in view, but just simply touching your skin. This is why it's not recommended for people with heart issues to wear full red outfits, especially for a prolonged period periods of time. And even if you are perfectly healthy, it's very easy to be overwhelmed by too much red, whether it's in your outfits or your surroundings. One striking example comes from my client who worked for Austrian Airlines. She spent so much time in their fully red uniforms, she eventually quit. She was simply overstimulated by the color. It affected her mood, her energy, and she realized it wasn't sustainable in the long run. This same principle applies to our everyday environment. Take your bedroom, for instance. If your bed linen is red, it might look exciting, but it can keep your mind active when you want to rest, making it harder to fall asleep and leaving you less rested in the morning. The good thing is that you don't need big amounts of a color to benefit from it. It can present itself in small details. So if you need a self-confidence boost, just add red lipstick or a red manicure or even a phone wallpaper, something that blinks often enough in front of your eyes. And it can even be lingerie. Others can't see it, but your body can feel it. Now we move on to orange. Orange is the color of pleasure, enjoyment, and appetite. It's not a coincidence that most people think of the fruit when asked about the color. It's like our vitamin C of the visual world. And orange literally stimulates hunger. That's why fast food brands use it so often, and why kitchens painted in orange tones increase appetite. And interestingly, studies show that children eat more from orange-colored plates. So if your kids are not finishing their meals, orange plates might help improve that. Orange energizes and stimulates you. That's why orange works so well for sports and physical activity, especially when you need that extra push. It activates the body and creates some sense of movement and warmth. And orange also plays a very important role in environments where emotional stability is needed. You probably noticed that in movies and real life, prisoners often wear orange uniforms. This is not only because orange is visible, but because it carries a happiness and warmth component. It helps lift the nervous system and has been shown to reduce extreme depressive states and lower unaliving risks. You see, prison management is smart, isn't it? Using a scientific approach to it. I mean, just imagine if their uniforms were red or black. The atmosphere would be totally different. Now, orange personalities enjoy life. They value pleasure, comfort, and reward. But orange also has an ego component. It's about self-focus and self-love, which can tip into egoism. So if your partner is a big orange lover, don't be surprised later if they put their needs above your preferences and desires. Now you've seen a peek into the powerful world of color. And if you're curious about turning it into your side hustle, the color analysis training will show you how to help others, become a professional, and create a strategy that can make you from $2,000 to $3,000 and more a month. Sign up for the free welcome call and see if this profession is the right fit for you. The link is in the description. Now let's continue with yellow. Yellow is the color of the sun. It gives you an energy boost and helps you feel more positive. That's why in the winter, when everything turns gray, the days get darker, and depression takes over, it's largely due to the deficit of yellow. That's why it's especially important during this time to substitute the sunlight with other yellow sources. That's why we enjoy looking at fireplaces and bonfires so much. So if you're low on energy, yellows ought to give you a boost and lift your spirits. Yellow is also the color of creativity and new ideas. So if you ever need to brainstorm or think of a creative solution, surrounding yourself with yellow helps. It could be a cup, a notebook, a bowl of lemons. It could be golden accessories, or just simply looking at a candlelight. Yellow people light up rooms. They think fast, talk fast, and see possibilities everywhere. But yellow struggles with structure and punctuality. They start projects easily, but finishing them is harder because they light up fast and burn out just as quickly. They can be easy to lift up, but can be impulsive about their actions and purchases. I mean, who do you know around you that goes to the store for one thing and comes back with many others? Now we have green. It is the most abundant color in nature. Fields, grass, trees, it represents life itself. On a nervous system level, green is deeply calming. It's the reason we instinctively crave forests, parks, and other open landscapes after periods of stress. And it's why people often choose greenery-filled places like islands or forests to relax. Your body actually remembers something very old. In ancient times, when people were choosing new areas to settle, green areas signaled that the soil was fertile, that there was water nearby, and that they could grow food to survive. So where there was green, life could continue. And your brain reads green as safety and balance, and that association is hardwired into us. Even today, you'll recognize it in a familiar but slightly different form: money. It is one of our biggest sources of security, and that's why green is used so often in finance and cash, banking apps, investment platforms. Green signals stability, growth, and safety for the future. It literally tells your brain you'll be okay. And this is why green-filled environments help people recover and recharge faster, relax, and think more clearly. And even having a potted plant at home or at your office can help with this. And we see this pattern in people living in very green island-filled environments. For example, the Mediterranean or Caribbean islands, Maldives, Seychelles, they consistently report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. Life feels slower, warmer, emotionally fuller. But those same environments rarely produce a high number of startups, disruptive ideas, or extreme achievements. That's exactly why too much green can quietly stop movement. When everything feels calm and good enough, urgency disappears and your desire to grow gets suppressed. Nature actually shows this perfectly. The most aggressive growth doesn't happen in swamps. Swamps are green, abundant, alive, but stagnant. Green without contrast turns from nourishment into stillness. And here's something that surprises many people. Green, not red, is the real color of love. Yep, because red is about passion, lust, desire, while green is care. Green represents long-term love, family love, friendship, and emotional safety. There's even a fun color psychological test to find out if you're in the friend zone or not. You can ask them, if I were one color, what would I be? And if they say green, that's a pretty big sign. This question in general can also help you reveal what people think about you and the type of person that you are. So try it out. Green is also the most social color. It's open, non-threatening, unlike red, which immediately signals dominance and intensity. That's why green makes it easier to connect and invites people to trust you and have a conversation. Because of its calming effect on the nervous system, green also softens conflict. If you know that an argument is unavoidable, wearing green can lower emotional intensity and help de-escalate the situation, and simply harder to fight someone who visually signals balance and openness. Red, on the other hand, does the opposite. It heightens alertness, triggers defensiveness, and feels like pressure. It's like waving a red flag in front of a bull. Now we have blue. Blue is the color of trust, logic, calm, and reliability. Physiologically, blue slows the heartbeat and stabilizes emotions. Blue says, you can rely on me. I'm predictable. Blue personalities are strongly career-driven. They are the best at creating and maintaining structure. They'll be meticulous and detailed, keeping everything under control. They are oriented toward growth, structure, and progression. They don't just want stability, they want advancement. So blue people naturally reach for promotions, high responsibility, and positions of authority. They are willing to take the next step and the next one after that. This is why blue is the most business color, and this is why blue dominates corporate environments. It's an excellent color for negotiations, leadership, and situations where trust matters more than warmth. People who love blue are usually very punctual and meticulous, but sometimes they may be nitpicky. While an overuse of blue results in a cold feeling, it becomes emotionally distant, detached, giving off an arrogant or even heartless feeling. Color psychology is also very useful in hiring. That's why more HR leaders invest in color trading. It sharpens how they read people, because colors often reflect dominant qualities quite accurately. Just think about it. You wouldn't look for the same traits in marketing and accounting, right? Just imagine you're choosing someone for an accounting role. Who would you choose? A blue or a yellow person? Yellow brings creativity, flexibility, and new ideas. But creativity with numbers is often how mistakes happen, and it lands companies in trouble. Blue, on the other hand, is structural. It's precise and attentive to detail. It is safe for systems that can't afford chaos. Now, switch the roles. For marketing, blue might maintain what already works, but it rarely pushes towards experimentation. That's where yellow thrives. It questions, tests, and generates new ideas. And this is how a simple and innocent question can help HR identify the natural strengths which could best be used in different positions. And to conclude the rainbow, we have purple. Purple is rare in nature, and rarity always creates mystery. It's as if purple holds secret, magical knowledge. It's the color you imagine in fairy tales and robes of wizards and sages. And if you've ever noticed something odd, you're never going to see purple on any national flags. And that's not an accident. Historically, purple was one of the most expensive colors to produce. It required thousands of sea snails to extract a single usable amount of dye, meaning only the richest, like royalty, emperors, and high priests could afford it. But even they saw that it wasn't logical to provide it to the whole army, just for the flags to be ruined soon after anyway. And purple wasn't just expensive, it was legally protected. In the Roman and later Byzantine empires, only emperors and their families were allowed to wear true purple, while if an ordinary person was seen wearing it without permission, it was considered an act of treason, and they could be punished sometimes by death. Centuries later, Queen Elizabeth I of England passed laws restricting purple clothing to the royal family only. That's why we still call it royal purple today, and why purple appears in crowns and coronation symbols. That's why purple, violet tones carry a magical and exclusive feel to it, and adding some of it to your wardrobe can immediately accent femininity. But purple must be handled carefully, especially in interiors. When overused, it can feel melancholic and depressing. So keep in mind that everything is good in moderation. Now we have brown. Brown is the color of the earth, and people who are drawn to brown tend tend to be grounded, realistic, practical, and loyal. They value stability over risk and consistency over excitement. Brown personalities don't chase fantasies, they rather build foundations. They're very loyal as partners and friends, and the kinds which last for a lifetime. In work environments, brown represents reliability and endurance. These are the people who show up, do the work, and stay for the long run. Brown personalities are often workaholics and handle the boring routine best. They're not the ones to reach for the stars, they rather move at a familiar rhythm. So don't expect big fans of brown to build a tremendous career or have immense results. Now black. Black is mystery and technically not even a color, yet it's one of the most used. Black is the absence of light. Black is space, emptiness, the void. Psychologically, black creates a distance, it creates authority and protection. It builds a boundary between you and the outside world. That's why leaders, politicians, and powerful figures use black so often, because black establishes control before a single word is spoken. Black also gathers the nervous system and helps it concentrate, but it also builds walls. That's why many people unconsciously use black as armor, to protect themselves, to avoid being seen too much, and to stay in control. But when black becomes dominant, it fills your wardrobe, environment, and your visual world. It can lead to emotional isolation, heaviness, and fatigue. While white is the opposite, the light at the end of the tunnel. It's hopeful, pure, innocent, a new beginning. It is also the color of perfectionism. People who are drawn to white often have very high internal standards. They push themselves to the limit to make things better, cleaner. They're seeking the ideal, but they can also get too self-critical. When overused, white can feel sterile and emotionally distant, and that's perfect for hospitals, laboratories, and clinical spaces where clarity and hygiene matter more than comfort. But in a home, too much white can make you feel like a guest in your own life. Just compare a clinical light to a soft yellow lamp. So keep in mind that color context matters. There's also something deeply symbolic about white. If you ask a child what color they see their mother as, a very common response is white. Because to a child, a mother is a higher being, pure, perfect, almost sacred, and another frequent response is green. Because green is the color of life, love, and safety. And that tells you everything about how deeply color lives in our subconscious. Similarly, you can ask any person the simple question of, what color is your mood right now? And you'll immediately get a good understanding of their emotional state. Once you understand basic colors, shades become easy, because at that point, it's just math. Let's take the most familiar example. Pink. Pink is a variety of red mixed with white. Change the ratio and the message also changes slightly. When red is diluted with a lot of white, we get a light baby pink. The white softens red's aggression, turning it into something gentle, innocent, and youthful. That's why light pink often feels sweet and has a childlike wonder to it, sometimes presenting as immature. But if you increase the dose of red, the story shifts. Hot pink carries much more intensity. It's bolder, more emotional, more openly romantic. The softness is still there, but it's much more subtle in comparison. And what about sky blue? A blue lightened by white, like the color of the sky. People drawn to this color often value freedom and openness. They may have their head in the clouds, they're dreamy and easy to lift up, but sometimes need a little grounding. Overall, sky blue promotes relaxation, lowers stress, and creates a sense of serenity. The type of serenity you feel by looking at the sea or the summer sky. Now you know the message each color carries. Take some time to explore your wardrobe and surroundings. Notice the colors your friends and family love, and practice applying what you've learned. Color is all around us, and that's what makes it so powerful. I use it to help my clients look better, feel better, and achieve their goals faster. And you can do so too. If you're interested about taking this knowledge further and working with colors professionally, you can join me for a free welcome call. We'll find the best way for you to begin and determine how quickly you can start earning. We'll also see if my mentorship is the right fit for you to gain the skills and answer any questions you have. The sign up link is in the description, and I'll see you there. Bye!